So each type of question can have obviously different answers, but also different types of answer. So if someone asks you, for example, a how much question, you can answer it in one of two ways. You can actually answer it in a sort of emotional, qualitative way, or a rational, quantitative way. So how much, of course, is basically seeking information of a particular type. It's seeking something that's quantitative, usually, and it may be asking for something that's specifically quantitative in, let's say, a particular unit. So how many miles, or how long will something take?
Okay, now we can just leave it.
So have you switched it on?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
It's just recording sound now. I just need to turn it on the microphone. Oh no, it's on. Okay. Cool.
And how long does it last? Does it?
It should last ages. I fully charged it this morning. The microphone.
So we start straight away.
It's already going. The microphone requires a AA battery, but I'm pretty sure it's a new one, so it should last.
Let's start straight away. I asked you how long does it last, and you said ages. Now there's two ways of answering questions, either in a quality way or a quantitative way. Okay, so in a qualitative way, you said ages, all right. But in a quantitative way, what does that mean?
Nothing, really.
Exactly. So quantitatively, I asked how long. Usually, how long is measured in time. It's a time question. Okay. You've got different sorts of questions, like who, what, why, when, where, how, and how much, and how long, and how this, how that. So the question is how long does the tape thing last roughly?
4 hours.
There you go. Okay, because to me it might have meant 18 hours or 4. You know, it could have meant anything.
It would. I'm hoping it will last the duration of this session. Is what I meant by ages.
Okay. So the what question is much broader. What do you think of tapioca? God knows where that came from. Well, that gives you a lot of choices. You can express an opinion. You can talk about its nutritional value, and so on. So who, what, why? Clearly, there's so many different types of answer you can give to a why question. Why, it could be based on your own thoughts or your feelings, or why a particular society thinks about something. I mean, politics, if you look at it, you know, why do so many things happen in politics? Why did everybody vote for whatever they voted for? And that kind of thing. So we're starting to think about the question itself and how you respond to the question. And do you respond to the question in the context of what type of question it is? So we've got the 7 types of question. But if you're not aware of the differences between the 7 types, you may well respond to that question with an answer that isn't actually in line with what the person was asking you about. And that indicates a lack of clarity of thought. So the more you are answering questions from people who think analytically and think critically, the more important it becomes that you answer the question in the context and the type of question that it is. So I'm going to pause there a bit, but what I'd like you to think about is watch a conversation that someone else is having and actually think to yourself, do people actually answer the question that's been asked? Or do they answer a different question that they thought were asked? Or do they not answer the question at all? They just say something completely different. That's very, very common. People ask questions, someone says something, it's got nothing at all to do with the question. That's especially true of politicians, and especially true of things like interviews that you see on the radio and television. Now, clearly, already, hopefully you're starting to say, well, you don't see anything on radio. You hear it on radio, and you see it and hear it on television. And that's the kind of thinking that I want you to start developing. It's a critical, analytical thinking. You heard me say something, and you start to analyze what I've said and think critically about, did the words I say really fit the class of information that I wanted to provide? If I say it's what you kind of thing you see on radio and television, then you're quite justified in thinking what I just suggested to you. You don't see things on radio. So it's that beginning to think about the words people use. So if you watch the first few minutes of the dialogue, the first dialogue between Corbyn and I, you'll see that kind of issue being raised by myself. And in fact, I think I raise it within 10 seconds of starting my first conversation with Corbyn. The idea was to make him start thinking immediately in the right kind of way, in an analytical and a critical way, rather than just continuing to live his life in an unconscious way. The pursuit of consciousness is an ongoing skill that you need to develop. But I can assure you that as you develop it, and you can start developing it today, within minutes of having watched the first few minutes of any of these dialogues, you'll begin to start thinking more analytically, more critically, and giving you things like 5W2H or who, what, why, when, where, how, and how much. That gives you a framework upon which to start thinking analytically. I have started. It is a soft skill, and it's one very, very worth developing. Thank you.